You know, a lot of people ask me about this ultimatum they've heard about giving Hector about how his medical care was being taken care of. And it's kind of tough love sometimes that people don't understand that takes place here at Matthew's Hope. You know, I'm kind of like the dad, if you will, of 1,000 homeless people. In this particular case, Hector did not want to go to the doctor's office for some open wounds that he had on his feet that we recognized after irrigating them and redressing them for several weeks that had gone to the point of being an infection that looked like it was going to spread. And he refused to want to go to the hospital, so I finally looked at him and said, Hector, I'll make it really easy for you. You just take your medical care over from here, and by the way, you're not going to have your eye surgery because if that poison stretches through your system, they're not going to do it.
When I started in my retirement time, I said I will just volunteer there at Matthew's Hope. And in first 2 weeks, story after story broke my heart. I was either very angry or crying.
I told Linda, one of our RNs, I said, give him his file and he's on his own. And at that point, he looked at me and he said, okay, Pastor Scott, I'll go. When Hector went to the hospital, that in fact, they said, had that gone another day or two, that infection had spread so far that it very well could have cost his leg. And if it costs his leg, then the eye surgery is out of the question. Instead, we're talking about a guy now that still has his leg, the wounds are cleaned up, and he's now seeing 20/50 vision. And that's a big deal when somebody's been literally living in the dark for 2 years.
And I told Scott, we're going to take care of him. I said, I'm going to find you somebody. And grace of God, I found somebody. That's Dr. Wang. She owns a surgical center, they're a group, so it was no cost of surgeon fees, no cost of facility fee, and she convinced the anesthesiologist, and they also didn't cost him anything.
If you haven't heard, you got to hear about Daniel, who's on our staff, and he's not only a friend, but he is someone who has a particular type of heart to serve the homeless in the way he does. And over the last 18 months or so, Daniel has provided a lot of the care for Hector in the way of getting him to and from where he's living on the streets, helping him on and off the bus because of the gout and the blindness and what have you, making sure he gets what he needs, that his money's not being messed with, and all these different things that play into it. They had never seen each other. All of a sudden, the time comes for Hector to see Daniel.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me.
How you doing?
Hey, Hector.
You know who this guy is?
What's his name?
Can you even see
Daniel.
me?
This is my son.
Wait, can you even see me right now?
No. Wow, I thought you was shorty.
Huh? What? I thought you thought I was taller.
No. Like, when I see, how you doing, man?
I'm good.
Yeah, all right.
This is like a miracle.
The first thing he says is, my son, which is something he's always called him, my son. This is the kind of relationship that was built by a man who couldn't see anything and another man that didn't care. All he cared about is, how can I care about this person? How can I love him as Christ loves him? And Daniel has done that very well, and I believe they have a lifelong friend.
This is Pastor Frank.
I'm the guy that watched the pot with you, Pastor Frankie.
I love you.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time really intimate there.
I love you. I'm doing good.
Frankie is another unique individual who's not afraid to get in there, and literally he would go in to bathe Hector because Hector couldn't see. Hector, couldn't reach for his clothing, didn't know where the soap was at. So literally think of this as a human being bathing a child. He's in there bathing another man. They finally said we should actually see each other to know who's washing his butt. And they both laughed because that's just a reality of the story, is this man needed to be properly cared for, and another man stepped into that role to make sure that he got taken care of.
My role in helping Hector get the treatment that he needed was to help coordinate the care. So I did some of the transportation. I made sure that he had medication that he needed, that he had the drops that he needed, and just tried to keep track of all of his different appointments and follow-ups and things so the surgeon could follow his care.
If I don't go to the doctor, that day, there was Mr. Cabo told me, "Hey, Miss Nancy, Miss Linda, I was probably dead by now."
Yeah.
You know, it's funny.
Hector, I'm Miss Nancy.
Yeah. Hello.
I just teared up. I wanted to hug him. That was my first response, was just, I wanted to give him a big hug and just, say, wow, here you are. We could actually, connect on a different level.
You do this as long as I have, and you've seen as much crisis and dysfunction as I've been exposed to on a daily basis. You don't get hardened, but you kind of get dry with the tears. And honestly, it was the only way I knew how to describe it when he was seeing everybody was, I felt like I was coming up for air, like I've been holding my breath for this last year and a half for this man. And the emotion was overwhelming. But the most incredible part of the whole thing is, Hector wasn't always a nice person to be around. He was angry, he was bitter, and he had every reason to be. I mean, I can't fault him for that, but he could get difficult to work with. And all of a sudden, the first thing he says to me when he sees me was, "I see you, Pastor Scott." I mean, that was like, are you kidding me? How do you ask for anything more in life than someone who was in total darkness saying, "I see you"? Because one of the things the homeless people typically are saying to us is why they love us is, "You see us."
So Hector had his guard up in a big way. Being blind and being on the street, he was very much in survival mode. And once he had the surgery and they removed the patch from his eye, he made eye contact and locked in immediately. And from that point forward, it was just kind of shock and awe. He was so different and animated, and he was just so connected to, a group of people that had been caring for him for so long, and he just hadn't had a chance to recognize us in that way and, work with us together.
Well, I was working and everything, but all of a sudden I started something in the morning. I see like, dark, say, what's going on? I went to watch my face real good. I thought it was something in my eye, and it ain't. I came over here and I told Nancy, what's something going on with my eyes? And she looked at me and said, "Oh, I'm gonna send you to eyes exams." So I waited 2 weeks, and she did. They take me down to the eye doctor and running on a lot of machine. And they tell her that I have cataracts, I have cataracts, So we go from there. And I wait like 2 years, no, year and a half for the surgery, for eye surgery.
The fact that he was able to pick up a Bible and start reading, that's how we had to figure out how much he could see and if he needed some more corrective glasses.
Can you read it?
Yeah, well.
Okay.
When the beginning, God created the promise and on the earth.
You don't even have to be a Christian. If you don't find that just absolutely mind-blowing, then you probably don't have a heart because it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. It's why we get up every day and keep doing this, because it can be a very thankless job most of the time.